Now we get back to the employee versus the compare to functions. I really should change that to functions up there. Both of those you've actually seen before for strings. Now remember, string is a very complex object that Java created for us and created data members and setters and getters for those functions, exactly like we're doing for employee. So string already had those built in, but how do we compare employees? Do we do it by salary? Now, by the way, equals part is really, really easy. If two employees are exactly the same, they're named the same, have the same pay or whatever, same title. But how do we compare two that we know that are going to be different? Are we comparing them by name? Are we comparing them by title? Are we comparing them by salary? Again, that's something that you're going to have to really think about in the design. Now, what's going to happen though when we use the CompareTo function, that's going to replace, remember there's no greater than or less than symbol for strings or complex objects. We can't use that. I really wish we could. And in some languages, by the way, you can, like C++. We can get away with doing that after we did some work of figuring out what exactly is going to be how we compare our two objects. The function itself for CompareTo is going to return 3 values. Now, notice I'm being hesitant, but one of them's easy, but not so easy. If two objects are completely the same, then the function will actually return a 0. And a lot of you are going, wait a minute, 0? Shouldn't it be a 1? I get you. The bad part is that it actually is looking for a difference between the two, and that's where we have greater than 0 and less than 0. And we actually talk about that in strings, about how distances between letters give us actually a number. So in that distance, if it's greater than 0, X and Y are reverse alphabetical order, depending on their value. And if it's less than 0, then X and Y are in alphabetical order. Now, so here's what I want you to think about. I want you to copy and paste employee from another link here, put it into Eclipse, put it into your, well, you can read the instructions here, create your own instance of employee, you should have done that already, and answer the questions below. We've already answered this, really. You should have seen all of this code already, but I'm going to go back over that here in a moment for our answer. So again, you've seen all this in a previous video here. This is now actually having you place the code in there to make sure that it works. Let's go from there, okay? I'll be back in a second with an answer. Let's do the easy one first. Equals is going to be easy. If two items are exactly the same, what's the value that's going to be returned? Is going to be true. If they are not equal to one another, it'll return false. That's very different than the next one over. Very different. If two items are exactly the same, it'll return a 0. Because remember, these are your 3 options right here. Those are your 3 options. It's not returning true or false like the other one does with equals. Okay? If one is last name, then first name, if one is alphabetically starting with last name is first and the other one, that's going to give us a value return is going to be some type of -1 or beyond. Because it's going to be less than 0. X and Y are in alphabetical order, so it's got to be less than 0. The other one's obviously going to be greater than 0 because, well, they're reversed, let's put it that way. So it's really, really important that we're okay with how this is set up because we'll start seeing some more code about that a little bit later on too. But again, you've actually seen the code already. Hopefully this is just kind of, again, homing in on exactly what values it'll be returning from it because we'll need that later.